You may feel like you're doing everything right. You eat carefully. You choose balanced meals. You try to follow the advice you've heard for years. And yet, something feels off. Your energy isn't what it used to be. Your strength feels unreliable. Your recovery takes longer than it should, and no one can quite explain why. Not your family. Not your friends. Sometimes, not even your doctor. Because on paper, everything looks fine. Your blood tests come back normal. Your diet looks healthy. Your routine seems appropriate for your age. Yet inside, you feel weaker than expected. More tired than you should be. Less resilient than before. And quietly, you may start wondering, is this really just aging? Or is something being missed? What most people don't realize is that after a certain point in life, the body doesn't just change what it needs, it changes what it can use. And that difference matters more than almost anything else. Because after 65, many seniors are no longer lacking nutrients. They are blocked from absorbing them. Silently. Gradually. And without obvious warning signs. This invisible shift explains why eating well sometimes stops working. Why familiar foods no longer restore strength. Why supplements don't always help. Why effort no longer equals results. And once you understand this hidden block, everything begins to make sense. But first, we need to talk about why the habits that once protected you quietly stop doing so. For most of your life, eating well was enough. Your body knew how to extract what it needed. Your digestion worked quietly in the background. Your systems communicated smoothly with one another. Food went in. Nutrients were absorbed. Energy came out. Simple. But aging doesn't break the system all at once. It weakens the connections. Imagine your body as a well-organized delivery network. When you were younger, nutrients traveled on wide, open roads. Signals were clear. Timing was precise. After 60, many of those roads narrow. Some become congested. Others develop small detours. The destination hasn't changed, but the delivery process has. This is why eating the right foods may no longer produce the same results. Not because the food is wrong, but because the body receives it differently. Digestion slows. Stomach acid decreases. Enzymes become less efficient. Signals between the gut and the rest of the body weaken. Food still enters, but extraction becomes incomplete. You may notice this as fullness after small meals, or subtle bloating, or food sitting heavier than it used to. These aren't inconveniences. They are clues. At the same time, inflammation quietly rises. Not the dramatic kind you feel immediately, but a low, constant background noise inside the body. This inflammation interferes with absorption. It's like static on a radio signal. The message still exists, but it doesn't arrive clearly. So even when nutrients are present, the body struggles to recognize, transport, and use them effectively. Here's where frustration often begins. You try harder. You choose cleaner foods. You reduce sugar. You follow recommendations meant for younger, and yet you feel more depleted. This is not a failure of discipline. It's a mismatch. The aging body doesn't respond to volume. It responds to precision. And without understanding that shift, effort alone leads to exhaustion. There's another layer most people overlook. Hormonal signaling changes. Not just the hormones we hear about often, but the quiet messengers that tell cells when to absorb, when to release nutrients. After 65, those signals weaken. Cells become less responsive. It's not that nutrients aren't present. It's that the door doesn't open as alley anymore. This is why two people can eat the same meal and experience completely different outcomes. One feels nourished. The other feels unchanged. And here's the part that surprises most seniors. Blood tests often won't reveal this, because tests measure what's floating in the bloodstream, not what's actually reaching the cells. So you're told everything looks normal. But normal on paper doesn't always mean functional in the body. This disconnect is deeply discouraging, and it's why many people slowly lose trust in their own experience. They stop listening to their body. They assume decline is inevitable, but there is a reason this happens, and once you see the mechanism behind it, the confusion fades. The real issue isn't deficiency, it's excess. After 65, the body begins to prioritize survival over optimization. That sounds alarming, but it's actually intelligent. The body conserves energy by limiting how much effort it spends on digestion, absorption, and cellular repair. Think of it like a house during a power shortage. Lights stay on in essential rooms, but extra systems shut down quietly. Nutrient absorption is one of those systems, especially when digestion requires more effort than the body wants to spend. This creates what we call an invisible nutrient block, not a wall. A filter, only certain forms, amounts, and timings make it through. Everything else passes by unused. This explains why seniors often eat enough protein yet lose muscle. Why calcium intake doesn't always protect bone strength. Why iron-rich foods no longer improve stamina. The belief is, if I eat it, my body will use it. The reality is, if my body can process it now, it will use it. Timing becomes critical. So does form. So does context. For example, protein eaten alongside inflammation is absorbed differently than protein eaten when the digestive system is calm. Minerals consumed without the right digestive signals often pass through unnoticed. Fat-soluble nutrients require conditions that aging bodies don't always create automatically. This is not damage, it's adaptation. The body becomes selective, and this selectivity is what confuses so many well-intentioned seniors. They keep feeding a system that no longer operates the same way, and when results don't come, they blame themselves. But once you understand this shift, everything changes. Because solutions after 60 are not about eating more. They're about helping the body regain access. The most powerful changes after 65 are surprisingly small, not dramatic diets, not extreme routines, not expensive interventions. What helps is alignment. First, digestion must be supported before nutrition can work. A calm digestive system absorbs better than a busy one. This means slowing meals down, reducing distractions, allowing the body to prepare for intake. Gentle movement before meals helps circulation reach the gut. Even a short walk changes absorption patterns. Next comes timing. Nutrients are not absorbed equally throughout the day. The aging body often absorbs best earlier, when cortisol naturally supports digestion. This is why seniors who eat their most nutrient-dense meals earlier often feel stronger. It's not coincidence. It's cooperation. Form matters too. Whole foods are important, but preparation matters more than most realize. Softening, cooking, and combining foods correctly reduces digestive demand. This isn't about restriction. It's about accessibility. Hydration plays a silent role here as well. Even mild dehydration thickens digestive fluids and slows nutrient transport. Many seniors drink less without realizing it. Not from neglect, but because thirst cues weaken with age. Hydration restores the environment. Nutrients need to move. Another overlooked factor is inflammation management, not aggressive elimination. Hintal reduction. Stress, poor sleep, and rushed eating all inflame the gut. Reducing those restores absorption more than any supplement. And finally, consistency. The aging body thrives on rhythm. Small, repeated signals work better than large, occasional efforts. This is how access is restored. Not overnight, but steadily. And when access returns, strength often follows. Quietly, gradually, reliably. Aging is not the loss of value. It is the narrowing of tolerance. The margin for error becomes smaller, but understanding becomes more powerful. When you stop forcing the body to behave like it's 40 and start supporting it as it is now, something remarkable happens. Energy stabilizes. Strength becomes predictable. Confidence returns. Not because time reversed, but because cooperation replaced resistance. This is the difference between decline and adaptation, and it begins with understanding the silent block no one talks about. If you're over 65, I'd love to hear from you. Comment your age and tell us one thing that surprised you in this video. Your experience matters more than you realize. If this helped you see your body with more clarity and less blame, consider subscribing to Elderly Health Explained. We're here to bring calm, honest guidance to aging, without fear, without pressure, and without noise. Because aging isn't about losing strength, it's about learning how to access it differently, and that knowledge changes everything.